Welcome back to Adobe Live. We are so excited to be here with you today, streaming live from Adobe Max London. If you're just joining in from YouTube or Behance, go ahead and post in the chat where you're joining us from. For those who I haven't met, I'm Clara Galan. I work on the Adobe Live and Community team, and I'm very excited to be joined here today by Deepa Subramaniam,
Hi, Clara.
who's on our senior leadership team at Adobe. So thanks so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't miss this. It's such a great event.
How has it been so far? I know the keynote
really?
we just wrapped up.
Yeah, it's been amazing. The keynote was very fun. I haven't been on a Max keynote stage in over a decade, I think. And yeah, there was just so much news to share. You know, we launched Firefly Image Model 3, we brought it into Photoshop, all of these new workflows, talked about Illustrator, snuck some future stuff around Illustrator.
Some of the sneaks.
Exactly, future things coming to Lightroom. So it was really great energy, great crowd. I mean, it's just the whole UK community has been really excited to learn more. I'm having a blast.
Oh, it's really exciting, and the energy here too. I was just on our previous stream, we see thousands of people that are out here, so many different community activations. So tell us a little bit more about your role at Adobe and what you're focused on.
Yeah, so I run all of product marketing. I'm Vice President of Product Marketing for Creative Cloud, which means a number of our creative categories come into me and my team. So we cover imaging, video, photography, 3D, Firefly and generative AI, pro design. I think that's it. Sometimes I miss a category, but you know, really my team, we're focusing on all of the marketing for all of these categories. So working really closely with the product teams to understand their roadmap and what all great innovation is coming down the line, and marketing that to the world, and being very engaged with the community and getting that kind of like virtuous cycle of feedback going between the product teams and the community and our teams. So it's one of the best jobs. I really enjoy it. We get to spend a ton of time with customers, which is what I enjoy the most, and yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see the community here and that feedback that you mentioned.
Yeah,
and even
those
who can't join too, if you're on Adobe Live and you are virtual, we'll be answering any questions that you have and being part of that product feedback loop. And I know you shared some really exciting announcements in the keynote. So we had a watch party here on Adobe Live.
Oh, fun!
But what were some of the things that you were most excited about that you just shared in the keynote?
I mean, everything we shared around Photoshop, I am so excited by, and cannot wait to see how the Photoshop community, uses these features and give us feedback. So just to recap, we announced a new beta of Photoshop today that brings to life a bunch of new generative workflows. So about a little less than a year ago, we initially debuted generative fill and generative expand in Photoshop, and like game-changing features. So those are features powered by the Firefly image model that allow you to like really change your images, add things and adjust things in this really transformative way. And the reception has been amazing.
Yeah.
Just seeing what people are creating with it, the kind of use cases, like people using generative fill to touch up old family photos, to create funny memes, real amazing photography and all sorts of like design use cases. So that's been awesome. And that's been the journey we've been on over the last year. And then with this beta that we just announced, we literally went from 2 generative workflows in Photoshop to well over 5. So I can just maybe unpack them a little bit.
Yeah.
We introduced something called Generate Image, which is a Firefly-powered workflow, which is basically text to image in Photoshop. So now, I mean, Photoshop's always been used for ideation, but now with the power of Firefly, you can create images directly in Photoshop and then go on to like adjust and change those with the power of Photoshop around you. And so really anyone who kind of opens Photoshop and maybe is like met with that kind of blank canvas can now really ideate quickly just by writing a text prompt with Generate Image. So that's really exciting. I cannot wait to see what people do with Generate Image. We also, in bringing Image Model 3, which is our new Firefly image model, into Photoshop, we are completely transforming and giving a massive boost to generative fill and generative expand. So Image Model 3 brings great quality improvement, detail around like fine details and straight lines and structure, and just, it looks amazing. And so that's now powering generative fill and generative expand. And then we brought more features to control, something like reference image, which we showed in the keynote, where you can basically upload a reference image and say, hey, generate with this content in mind, or generate with this style in mind. So super powerful features now in Photoshop. And then even outside of the generative workflows that we have in Photoshop, a ton of new other innovations. So, you know, Terry showed the new font panel, so you now have access directly to 25,000 Adobe fonts within Photoshop. The audience clearly loved that.
Yeah.
Improved AI masking, this new lens blur capability. So outside of just the generative workflows, there's fundamental core enhancements and features coming from the community that are in this new release of Photoshop.
It's so exciting, and the possibilities are endless in terms of creation. And like you said, and when you start with a blank canvas, sometimes it's a bit daunting to be able to start. And I know there are a lot of creatives that have been on Adobe Live that talk about how they use generative fill and being able to generate specific images. But sometimes there's a bit of hesitancy of AI in general for that final product. So what would you say to creatives who maybe haven't used generative AI for the first time? How could this be a part of the creative process instead of the end result?
Totally, great question. I mean, look, it's this massive shift that's happening in the world and in technology and definitely in the creative space. And, you know, generative AI is here to stay. Like, that genie's not going back in the bottle. And what I really love is the approach that we're following at Adobe. So we're really, to us, the power of generative AI is in no way trying to replace the creative process or the creator themselves, but it's really to boost existing creative workflows and take some of the tedium and the mundane tasks that you have to do day in and day out and make it easier through the power of generative AI. Honestly, so you can create more. Like, we don't want to get in the way of creation. We want to help support better and faster and more expressive creation through the power of Gen AI. And so that's why, you know, the workflows that we're thinking about are really around how can we help you create more efficiently, create more faster within the applications that you know and love. So we've brought Firefly-powered generative workflows into Photoshop, into Illustrator. We just shared 2 weeks ago that we're going to bring generative workflows into Premiere Pro to really help pro video editors kind of supercharge their productivity. So that's really our approach, and it's been really well received by the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to look in the chat here too to see if there's any questions on that. So we have Sylvia joining us, Jane joining us, welcome. Oliver, thanks for sticking with us and joining in. Looking over here to YouTube, if you have any questions, I hear we got a couple requests for some of the stickers we had at the community booth. So we'll go ahead and share those in there. And then pulling up the last one on our Creative Cloud YouTube, we have Jonas from Brazil, welcome. Sanjay, who's joining us from India, Ray from London, and a lot of other folks. So thanks again for joining us. And then some more excitement around Firefly. So in that sense, you know, in particular with video, I know there were some like really exciting videos and sneaks that were shared. We had a stream last week in Munich talking about enhanced speech and removing background noise, and there was a lot of excitement from the community in that. But can you talk about some of the other new pieces that are coming to video?
First off, I just have to say, enhanced speech has been like a darling, right? We betaed it, I think, in January, and you can really clean up your audio through this sort of AI-assisted feature within Premiere Pro. You know, enhanced speech actually came from our podcast technology, which is also a really awesome product. So yeah, that's been really exciting to see. But in the past 2 weeks, what we shared was a little bit of what we shared in the keynote today, which is we are working on a video model for Firefly. So we're working on a Firefly video model that we want to bring to market this year. We're taking the same approach with our video model as we have with all of our foundational Firefly models, developing the model to be commercially safe. And what we also shared last week was that we are building our Firefly video model to power, at the start, 3 new generative workflows within Premiere Pro. Something called Object Add, which is the ability to add video to an existing clip, Object Remove, which is the ability to remove something from a video clip, and Generative Extend, the ability to sort of extend a video clip. And so we shared a video, actually maybe we can put it in the chat, it's easy to find, it's on social media, we shared it today at the keynote, showing the real Firefly video model in action, adding things to video, removing things to video, and extending the clip. And so that's been, you know, met with so much excitement. I was just at the NAB show in Las Vegas last week, which is the National Association of Broadcasters, this massive pro video editor kind of like trade event. And the reception to these workflows has been really exciting. I think people really understand, oh, you know, I need to add or remove things, especially remove. You leave a boom mic in your shot, you leave a coffee cup in your shot, like that. Those are really common things. What surprised me the most was generative extend. Oh my gosh, every video editor I talked to was so excited about that, because, you know, it's really painful when you're filming and you kind of like, you know, don't have the shot. So a lot of times you want to hang on to an extra clip just for, or an extra beat in a video clip to add some emotional heft or sync up to the soundtrack. And when you don't have that shot, it's really painful. So with generative extend now, you can sort of extend your video. We also shared last week that we're looking to bring third-party models into our application, so into Premiere, into Photoshop, our flagship application, so that's really exciting. We've heard from our customers they really want choice. They love the Firefly video model, or Firefly models, excuse me, and that they're commercially safe. But you know, there's a lot of models out there, and some are really great at certain things, and we believe in a world and think it's the best for creativity to just have more choice, have more models. So we shared kind of an early exploration of what it could look like to have, say, OpenAI's Sora model, or Runway's video model, or Pika's video model in Premiere, powering some of those video workflows. So that's also been met really well by the community, and we really just want feedback. You know, we shared the news last week to kind of start that dialogue, or continue that dialogue, I should say, with the community, and so yeah.
It's really exciting to hear the community feedback too. And if you've seen that video, I know my colleague Tim is in the chat. If you could just post that link, we'd love to hear your feedback, how you're going to use it too. I know we've already seen a lot of excitement at shows like NAB, like you mentioned, and making sure we're incorporating that feedback. And speaking of which, I know that Adobe is really closely connected to the community. We have a community team and a booth that we're looking at right now with all of the community artwork. Can you talk a little bit about the product development process at Adobe and how we incorporate creatives' feedback?
Yeah, it's always been a core part of our development process, working with the community to get feedback well before we even start building things, but definitely during the product development lifecycle, sharing things early with the community to get that feedback, understand what's working, what's not working, what are the enhancements and the feature requests, and responding to that. So all of our applications have a pre-release program that you can join, private betas, and really what we also do that's really kind of gone to the next level over the last year with Firefly is big open public betas. So even when we debuted Firefly last March, our first image model, it was a massive public beta. It was like, look, here, this is what we're doing. We want your feedback. Use this model and help us make it better. You know? And so again, it was so exciting to see what people were creating with Firefly, things that we hadn't even thought about before. And the feedback really hardened the innovation and matured it. And so even now, Firefly Image 3 model in Photoshop, they're released as betas. And so I encourage everyone to go check it out. Go to firefly.adobe.com, play with Image 3 model, go get the Photoshop beta, download it and use it, because it's not just about what we're saying we want people to create with it. We want to see what they're actually creating with it, and the kind of feedback they have, what's working, what's not working, the good, the bad, the ugly. Just share it back with all of us, because it's really about, again, maturing and improving that core technology to make it really great and make sure it's meeting our customers' needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how Adobe's such creative centric too, especially with the development of Firefly, making sure we're part of the content authenticity initiative, that creators are getting recognized for their work. And I know just being on the community team, we've done a lot of these briefings for a lot of you who are tuning in to get kind of a sneak peek under NDA.
Oh yeah, those have been so valuable. I love getting the early feedback from the community on sort of things that we're thinking about, and really need their help to form better and to make it better. So yeah, absolutely. That's been such a boost to our development cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see in Discord too, that huge Firefly community. So if you're not already in that Discord channel, we'll post that in the chat. So be sure to join our Firefly Discord. We have it available in many different languages too, so people can check that out. But thinking about moving forward with Adobe, it seems like the last year, I've been at Adobe a couple years, and the last year's been so exciting, so many different product releases. What's coming next? Like, what we can share at least?
Yeah. I know, we did sneak a lot.
We did sneak a lot.
Firefly's coming to Lightroom, which is very exciting. The next generation vector model coming to Illustrator, empowering something called vector fill and vector expand, which I think is going to just be this huge unlock for anyone working in Illustrator, whether you're a graphic designer or an illustrator, you're making logos or icons. It's going to be amazing. So those are definitively coming soon because we snuck them today, and no backsies, like it's out there.
It's coming.
We can't wait to ship that.
Yeah.
But for where we're going beyond that, I think clearly the reception and the enthusiasm we've gotten from the community around how transformative really well thought through generative workflows are to the creative process is like there's no turning back. Like we're continuing to improve Firefly, bring it into more and more applications. I mean, we saw Firefly coming to InDesign in the keynote today. And so, that's like keep moving forward, keep innovating, keep adding more models to the family of Firefly foundational models, like the video model, areas where we have deep domain expertise, working on models and thinking about those models powering real workflows in our applications. That's like a non-negotiable, that's happening, and we're excited about that future. And apart from that, outside of generative innovation, just continuing to improve our applications, right? We brought Photoshop to the web last fall. There's a beta of Illustrator on the web, so it's just very exciting to continue to improve the core fundamentals of the application, come to more surfaces. So tons of rich innovation on the generative front, but equal amount of innovation on non-generative core features, performance, quality of life improvements. Creators work day in and day out in these applications, so that's really what we're passionate about, and that's what you can expect to come out over the next many months and years.
We're really excited to see that too, and I know there was a lot of excitement in the chat around InDesign in particular, because we haven't had as many announcements on InDesign.
I know, I was so excited to see that. I know,
Yeah.
I'm so excited Firefly has come to InDesign. Actually, we have some members of the InDesign team here, so they were really excited. I know, everyone always wants more InDesign and keynotes. It's a great application.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement in the
that
chat
makes
just
me
when,
so
we did the
happy.
keynote, the watch party, so that
Cool.
was exciting. And then I know yesterday at our community event, the Photoshop on Web, we had the Photoshop team there sharing that, and Illustrator beta on web, so it's a lot of excitement to come moving soon. And I'll look here in the chat too to see if there's any other questions. And we have, people, this is what I love about our community. It's so international. We have people joining from all over the world.
Oh, look at this. I'm going into a project to prepare a storyboard for a commercial, and it turned out to be the end result. Freaking love it. I love that.
So exciting.
Here's a question. Will there be a generative video blend feature as well, connecting clip A to clip B after a cut has been made between them? Ooh, keys. Tell me more. This is exactly the kind of feedback that we'd love to hear. It sounds like you want to be able to kind of like blend two features, which is a little bit of like a build on top of the generative extend workflow that we shared. That's really interesting. I think these are the kinds of ideas that we want to see come through from the community to help us ideate the next set of workflows. So I'll share that back with the product team, but that's exactly the kind of feedback that we're hungry to get.
Absolutely, and I'm looking here too. So all good feedback, and then a question about After Effects. Anything?
Oh yes.
Anything coming up in After Effects?
I know we talked about Premiere, but we have not forgotten After Effects. We love all of our video and audio products equally. Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason that generative AI can't supercharge workflows in After Effects as well. And clearly, After Effects has the ability to sort of roto brush, and people before we previewed object add, object remove, the way you would add and remove things would be able to sort of round trip with After Effects. So we're pretty excited about innovating on that with Firefly, so stay tuned for more there. But we have not forgotten about After Effects. Incredible application.
Definitely. It's
very powerful.
All across video, a lot to come. And then I'm seeing here, I love this one from Austin. I teach photography to middle schoolers. They're learning Lightroom, Photoshop, and Illustrator and Premiere Pro. Start off with Express and build from there. Firefly too. They love these programs.
Oh, I'm so happy. That's wonderful.
And share too with us, joining from Austin, if what grade you teach. We also have an education community too, so we're happy to share that with you there. And I'm just going up here if there's any more. We have people joining from Tokyo too. Welcome. I know it's tricky with time zones, from Iran. So thank you again.
Wow, that's amazing.
So international.
What a global group. That's cool.
Any other, before we end the session for today, any other programs that you'd like to share with the community, or what they should be checking out if they are not already doing so?
I mean, definitely, grab the new builds that we just shared today. Again, update to Photoshop. Go check out Firefly Image 3 model on firefly.adobe.com. Stay tuned for a massive update to Illustrator, powering all the stuff that Michael showed off in his sneak. A new update to Lightroom, bringing Firefly in. So get the builds, give us feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly, no filtering. And that's really what I'm most excited about. And I look to this community to help us get better.
Well, Deepa, thank you so much for sharing all of this and for coming on Adobe Live. And
this is my first Adobe Live.
It's really exciting.
I love Adobe Live. Huge fan. And I'm always, excited that we have Adobe Lives for our releases and our launches. But I've never been on one, so thank you for having me. What a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the first, and definitely not the last.
Yeah, I'll totally come back.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your time in London. And thank you all for tuning in. If we can just share the schedule coming up quickly. If you're just joining in from YouTube or Behance, we are live here from London for the rest of the today until 5:30 p.m. Local time. But up next, we're going to have Make Your Design Pop with Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator with David Oku and Anna McNaught.
Oh,
so be sure to check that out and stay tuned. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. We'll be right back. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.